to Axiom Flux News. On today's date, it's the 12th of February 2015. I'm joined with Charles and Dominic, and my first article to kick us off is the RT source. UK judges feel underpaid and less respected and consider leaving profession, according to a survey. So quickly go into this survey here. British courts may face a shortage of judges following a new report suggesting they have experienced a deterioration in working conditions and salaries across the country. The review, carried out by the Senior Salaries Review Body, SSRB, shows that around 2/3 of UK judges feel they are less respected by society than they were a decade ago, while a pay freeze since 2009 has resulted in many becoming disillusioned with the law. While judges in Britain are among the highest paid earners in the country, with salaries that can reach nearly £500,000 a year, more law practitioners are feeling insecure about the profession, particularly at the junior level. The survey shows that many judges are feeling, in common with millions of other people, that their work has become harder year after year in many ways. Lord Chief Justice Lord Thomas and Senior President of Tribunals Lord Justice Sullivan said in a joint statement, open quote, "Even though they know they are well paid compared to most people, they, like many others, have seen their pay drop in real terms," end quote. They added, the survey found that 86% of judges feeling their work conditions are worse today compared to 5 years ago, citing larger caseloads. Half of those polled rating the technology in British courts as poor. Additionally, almost 1/3 of judges in England and Wales said they would consider leaving the profession in the next 5 years, with most stating that their salaries do not adequately reflect the amount of work they are doing in court. The report comes as the UK justice system continues to protest against cuts to the legal procedures, including the controversial issue of legal aid. Last month, lawyers warned that defendants and witnesses in court cases could be denied justice because of cuts to legal aid, stressing that the quality of representation would decrease if more cuts were made. The Law Society, the UK's main representative body for legal practice, has launched a legal challenge to the High Court in London against the government's legal aid cuts. So I don't know what you want to make on that one. What's the court system like in Canada, Charles? What's the morale of the judges over there? Would you say?
Well, right now it's actually kind of looking, I guess, divided in a way, because here we actually have a lawsuit against the Bank of Canada, which is called Cromer versus Bank of Canada, the Crown, and the Queen of England, and they actually won in our Supreme Court. And Canada, the Canadian government can't even appeal it, or I think they won't appeal it. If you check this out, look up Rocco Galati and Cromer, which is Canadians for Economic Reform, something something. But anyways, I can never remember exactly what it means, but it essentially is the judges here in Canada. I think it's divided either between corruption and good judges and things like that. I'm not too sure about the wages or anything like that, how it is, but I think they're pretty well paid here. And there's also been some news about a lot of the judges here being Freemasons, which is a big question about their oath that they swear. Is that, well, if they're swearing an oath behind closed doors to be Freemasons, they kind of wondered if they were able to respect the oath that they swore when they came into the courtrooms, and to respect the law, the rule of law here in Canada. So for
Yeah,
me,
yeah. The justice system has no room for Freemasons.
well, no, exactly. It shouldn't be allowed, right? But
No.
a lot of people in our society here in Ottawa, like there's actually Freemason lodges here, here in Ottawa, Hull, Elmer, and Freemasons are part of this justice system for sure. Like you see that there's been some corruption within our justice system here in Canada. Me when I see like pedophiles being able to get away with, with 2 years sentencing, and really getting a slap on the wrist, 2, 3 years, 4 years, and then someone else that robbed a bank or something like that, they get like 10 years or things like that. It just kind of shows that it's one side is I kind of wonder, are these judges part of pedophile rings, and that they just do this in case that they get caught, so therefore they get the least amount, or what I mean? It kind of question, because I mean, a pedophile will ruin a child's life for the rest of their life. It's like you just ruin the life essentially, right? Robbing a bank, well, listen, yeah, people may get terrorists depending on the methods you use. I mean, if you're using a gun or whatever, but I mean, it should be the same kind of level as that someone's life got ruined.
Are you able to sympathise for some of these judges then, Charles, or is that a little
Well,
bit too much to ask personally?
yeah, well, that's essentially what I'm saying is I find the justice system very corrupt in itself.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
find any kind of justice, and these judges, if they want to, if they feel that they're not respected as much, well, it's all within reason. I mean, they're not uh, they're not that they're not the greatest beings on the planet neither, right? So, I mean,
No,
I have no sympathy.
they can all make mistakes, but especially I don't feel if you're doing this sort of job, just going back on, if you're doing this sort of responsible job, then and you're feeling, like you've got no morale or anything, then is that a sign to say maybe you should pass it on to somebody else and perhaps consider leaving, which seems to be the case, but who knows?
Hmm. Well, knowing what I know, I don't really have high standards for judges. So I don't
Right.
hate them, but I don't have much respect for them. So.
Have they got the hands tied behind the back, do you think?
Um, Probably. I mean, it all depends. I mean, some of them you should see how they act, how they talk. They're arrogant, and some of them are actually very sympathetic and actually genuine in wanting to help people instead of punishing them.
Yeah.
So,
Or just trying to get a jury with 12 EPs, it's like even that's quite hard to ask for these days. But anyway, moving on from that one, onto the Syria bombings push hospitals beyond breaking point. Syrian Air Force bombardment of a besieged rebel-held area east of Damascus has left poorly equipped doctors barely able to treat the wounded, a medical charity said today. In the besieged eastern Ghouta area, the number of patients treated in the hospitals we support has gone beyond breaking point, said Dr. Bart Janssens, director of operation of Doctors Without Borders. The number of requests for medical supplies has shot up, he added, while eastern Ghouta has been bombed frequently during a year and a half of suffocating army siege. The strikes in recent weeks have been particularly devastating. MSF said the strikes hit two medical facilities on February the 5th, forcing staff and patients to evacuate. People have been killed in raids in the past 10 days, at least 183 people, most of them civilians. Among them were 29 children, said the Britain-based group, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Paramedics were running and bringing in more wounded people, so I realised there was a catastrophe going on, said the director, who identified himself only as Dr. N. Our hospital, like the majority of hospitals in the region, lacks basic equipment and medical consumables, and we have limited capacity for this sort of emergency, both in terms of space and beds, said the medic. Among the most painful cases for us are the children. When we have to amputate a limb to save their life. Such difficult decisions are a real test for doctors with very limited options, he added. The medical situation and the general living conditions are beyond any red lines. One nurse was killed on his way to work in a hospital on 8th of February, the international NGO said, adding that hundreds of wounded people have been treated at MSF-supported medical facilities in the eastern Garda in recent weeks. So it's still ongoing. There's been a bit more information. Apparently, Assad has been receiving information from the US to do with the airstrikes on ISIS. I don't have the article at the minute at hand, but if you wanted to go and look at that, for anybody who's watching, might be something you could be interested to see. But this brings me to my Newswire article for today, posted 41 seconds ago. Money for war, not to save lives. The US President Barack Obama has warned David Cameron not to slash the UK defence budget. Obama insisted to the British Prime Minister that a failure to hit the 2% of GDP spending targets would undermine the NATO. The US President made the direct appeal during private meetings when the Prime Minister visited Washington back in January. Treasury is expected to cut £1 billion a year from the Ministry of Defence budget in an attempt to fill the country's budget shortfall. Obama has warned Cameron that if Britain doesn't spend 2% on defence, then no one in Europe will. Reporters say the US has been piling pressure at a high level. Now a London-based anti-war activist says maintaining defence budgets is not fair as Britons live under tough austerity measures by the government. Money for war, not to save lives.
Well, see, that's the thing. The whole, instead of spending on weapons of mass destruction and all this nonsense, why don't you fly some planes over there, drop some food, some grain, all that good stuff. So therefore, hey, it's like, well, wow, they're not dropping bombs on us. They're dropping food and they're coming to our aid and saying, listen, let's never mind all this war, all this nonsense, and therefore you won't have to spend money on defense because people are going to be fed, they're going to be hungry, not hungry, but they're going to have water to drink, all this good stuff. They'll be healthy. And so therefore you won't have to worry about people trying to come after you now. It's like, well, hey, Britain actually dropped grain and good food instead of bombs this time. So wow, okay, well maybe we won't attack Britain now. Maybe, hey, you know what? We'll scratch them off the list, and maybe we won't go and suicide bomb ourselves over there or whatever they do, right? It's just to show you how the military-industrial complex is in with these politicians, and they lobby, and it's all about propaganda towards getting people to conflict and war and spend more money on defense. Which, look, if you didn't cause these problems in the first place, if you actually gave substantial solutions, you wouldn't have to worry about defending yourself. But since they're the ones, the giant dick that's screwing the world over, well, of course, that's what they have to spend on is defense, right? So, and they probably think that they're too far gone, but it's never too late to do the right thing,
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my next one is the Garda protection plan for Joan Burton's home after water protesters vowed to stage demonstration. So this is over in Ireland, and for those that aren't too sure, this is Joan Burton, the leader of Labour Party, Minister for Social Protection in Dublin West. Joan Burton is the Tánaiste and Minister for Social Protection and leader of the Labour Party. Her focus as Minister is on transforming the system of social protection to help unemployed people back to work, education or training, while ensuring a strong and responsive safety net for those who need it. A chartered accountant by profession, Joan was first elected the Dell in 92 and served as Minister of State at the Department of Social Welfare from 1993 to 94, during which she initiated a series of welfare to work and education initiatives. She served as Minister for Development Cooperation and Overseas Aid from 94 to 97, in which time she revamped Ireland's development programme in Africa. She was the Labour Party spokesperson on finance from 2002 to 2011 and opposed the bank guarantee in 2008. She was appointed Minister for Social Protection in 2011 and nominated Tánaiste in July 2013. Jo continues to represent the Dublin West constituency, having been first elected in 91 as a Dublin County Councillor for the Mullida local electoral area. She is married to Pat Carroll. They have one daughter. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. I've never even heard that name before. I'll go for it. Alf or Ife. Not sure. Maybe you can have a better shot than me, Charles. Law graduate of TCD, who now works as a barrister in Dublin. So 10 things you never knew about Joan Burton. Joan's first job was in Dunnes Stores. Joan's favourite author is Jane Austen. Joan was secretary of the Irish anti-apartheid movement in the 80s. Joan's signature dish is cheesecake and ice cream. Joan was among the first women to become a qualified chartered accountant in Ireland. Joan is an avid gardener. Joan was the first woman to become finance spokesperson of a major Irish political party. Joan's favourite musician is Leonard Cohen. Joan was one of the first Irish students ever to work on a J1 summer visa in the US. Joan was made a Minister of State on her first day in the Dáil in 92. So that's from the Labour website. Profile on her, biography. So let's go into this woman. This is the home. So they've planned protection at a home because they've heard apparently that the anti-water meter groups plan to protest at the politician's home in North Dublin at 7 PM this evening, which was earlier on well, yesterday in the evening. A large number of Garda will be placed outside Joan Burton's home this evening after water protesters vowed to stage a demonstration. Senior officers have learned that anti-water meter groups plan to protest at the politician's home on the Old Cabra Road in North Dublin at 7 PM on Wednesday. A senior source explained that Garda from across the North Inner City have been drafted in to protect Mrs. Burton, or Miss Burton rather. I'm sure she had a kid. Maybe she's not married. I'm not sure. I'm sure it says she's married, yeah? Yeah, she's married. Okay, so I'm not sure if her partner's still alive or what, but yeah. That means she's no longer got a husband then, yeah? MS, Miss? Am I right, Charles? I don't keep up on these statuses, so MS is because it's here as Miss Burton. That means partner's no longer.
Yeah, she's not married.
She's a widow, yeah. Okay, so let's go into this article because I've got a little video here, which is from November. Basically, what happened is a bunch of people went up to her in a car. Putting questions to her because they had concerns, and this is basically how it went down. So I'll play this video now.
Joan, we would like to have a word for you. It seems like you're here tarnished. Are you not prepared to talk to the people out here, Joan? Are you too good for us now, Joan? We'd like to have a word with you. Are you not prepared to talk, Joan?
Ask your question, please.
No. We'd like to ask you a question, Joan.
Ask your questions. I'll try to contact your office, Joan. Could you survive on €40 a week from your department? Could you survive the welfare inspectors turning up at your door?
about the rent allowance.
Well,
I'm getting evicted because of you.
this woman's getting evicted because of your policies, Joan.
You should be saying...
Would you not roll down?
Young family getting evicted because of you, Joan.
Are you not prepared to talk to... Can you not talk to the people, Joan, or are you too good for us now?
How is it starting to affect you, Joan? Your decisions make us suffer, Joan. Your decisions. We'd like to have a civil word with you. We'd like to have a chat.
Children have suffered.
We'd like to have a chat with you. What children have suffered?
It's good the way you can sit there and smile, but it's it's an easy thing to show compassion by talking to someone.
We want you to hear our stories. We want you to fight for us at the cabinet table, Joan.
You really are a coward, aren't you?
We want you to fight for us at the cabinet table. You're the leader of the list. Suicide's through the roof, Joan.
You aren't prepared to talk to the people.
I just want to talk to you, Joan. I just want to ask.
How does the strike affect you, Joan? Suicides are through the roof. You don't give a rat about anyone in this country, you don't. Fight for us, Joan. You don't know your soul is out of this. We're suffering. Banks got bailed out. Banks got bailed out. We got sold out. The people did. Joan, we beg you, fight for us. We are suffering. The people are suffering. We are trying to commit suicide. Please, fight for us. Please, Joan. Please. Enough is enough.
You really are the most heartless person in this country. A simple thing.
Every community in Ireland.
A simple thing to talk, to roll down your window to talk.
Minister for social protection.
Where the people talk to us. Come talk to me.
So, we have a word.
To be alone in there.
Show you care about the people and the constituents. Show that you care and answer a few questions, Joan, please. How does it affect you? Suicides are through the roof. You're Minister for social protection. You're not protecting anyone. You're making us suffer. You care about nobody. Protect us. No constitution. Your job. Please.
Now all it takes is you to roll down the window.
Show some sympathy and answer those questions, please. As the Minister to duty, we voted you in for you to look after the people, not to ignore us and abuse us.
Joan, how has austerity affected you? Joan.
How does austerity affect you, Joan? The question.
I
love the iPhone, Joan. I said, I love the iPhone. How does austerity affect you, Joan? How does austerity affect you? You don't care about the people. Your soul is out.
And as RT have just been told to stop recording by the Labour Party.
Sorry, we don't decide.
Don't worry, RT. Could you tell us where RT was last Saturday?
You are not doing our job. No.
When she talks to us.
The local father that commits suicide, right? He was under 24. He was put...
So there you go, that's Joan Burton. Last year in November, I believe it were, where she was trapped in a car for 2 hours, held there. 4 people was arrested and then let go with no charges taken on them, which sparked outrage really, and apparently there's to be a solidarity in London to be held, but I've not heard anything from that today, so I don't know what's been going on with that.
Well, that was awkward.
Say that again, Charles?
That was awkward, just seeing her sit, like, not getting out, not even engaging to, you know, it just goes to show you that these people, they don't care about us. They don't care about the little people. They don't go shopping like everyone else. You see the car they were driving? Like, why? That's like a $120,000 car here in Canada, so I don't know how much it is in the UK, but that's like, it's probably even more than that. Why do they need to spend all that money, but yet they'll tax all the common people that are really, you know, I don't know what the minimum wage is in the UK. Here it's $10 an hour. You know, it's just to show you that people need to really stop giving power to this political structure, because it doesn't work, because all it does, it just separates these people in thinking that they're entitled to more than others. Why? Because they're talking in front of a teleprompter. They don't really speak from the heart. They'll tell you all sorts of beautiful things and things to get you to vote for them, and then once they're in, boom, they just do the opposite or go with their own agenda, and then, oh, well, try to hold them accountable. Well, then they hide behind the police, Garda, they're in their car with someone else driving for them. It's you know, these people are irresponsible, highly irresponsible people, and people buy into it, and she deserves everything she's getting right now. I don't think that violence would be the answer, but if it was to happen, I wouldn't say, oh, you know, good for her, but I'd be like, well, what do you expect? You know, like you go near the dog, he's on the chain, he's barking, and so you antagonize the dog, and then eventually he gets loose from the chain, and then he attacks you. Well, you knew that was going to be an option for the dog. He's going to want to rip you apart. So keep antagonizing the people, keep doing that, and you know, see how that works out for you. And I don't wish anyone to do any harm to this woman, but at the same time, what will it take for them to really get it? You know, to start understanding how serious this is, that people's lives are important.
For the past few days, there have been some dome raids. People, as I was just mentioning, the 4 people, which was one of them was including socialist Paul Murphy. 3 others have been released, but then since then, on this article here, 4 men have been arrested in connection with the Joan Burton car protest in Dublin's Jobstown last November. So this is an additional 4. It brings the number of people arrested this week in connection with the anti-water charges demonstration to 12. The men can be held for up to 24 hours. The 4 people arrested yesterday have since been released. So that's just some more information put out there for you guys on the latest that I can find. But if you've got any more videos what you've come across, please do comment with a link if possible. So that's that one. This one is the Whistleblower, Offshore Banking Out of Control. Hervé Falciani tells Sky News he sent an email about HSBC accounts in Switzerland to HMRC in 2008. The man who leaked tens of thousands of account details from HSBC's Geneva branch has told Sky News that he first contacted HMRC by email and telephone in 2008. However, Falciani said the full process data was only given to UK authorities in 2010. I sent a naive email in 2008 to the HMRC, and afterwards I called them, and finally the most efficient move was when authorities made available to any countries with tax treaties with France, he said. So there's a short video here that I'll play with him talking.
Claims have been released in Britain, in Greece, in India, Spain, and it seems to...
Seems to have cut off there. I'll have another attempt at that, guys, if I can. Okay, I don't seem to get any audio for that. I'll come back to that one.
I actually have a video that they...
This is also connected to it. So the HSBC files show Tories, the Conservatives, raised over £5 million from the HSBC Swiss account holders. Labour too has received cash and loans from banks' clients, while leaked documents also reveal many donors with HSBC accounts had non-dom tax status. Conservative donors, peers and a high-profile MP are listed among the wealthy who legally held accounts in Switzerland with HSBC's private bank for a wide variety of reasons. Their ranks include Zach Goldsmith, MP for Richmond Park, plus his brother, the financier Ben Goldsmith, and a Swiss resident, German-born automotive heir George von Opel, who has donated 6-figure sums in the past 2 years. Peers named in the HSBC files include Lord Sterling of Plaistow, the P&O shipping and ports entrepreneur who was ennobled by Margaret Thatcher, and Lord Fink, who was a party treasurer under David Cameron and has given £3 million to the Conservatives. Zach Goldsmith has, with his brother Ben and their mother Lady Annabel, donated over £500,000 in cash and in kind to the Conservatives. Conservatives have raised over 5 million from the HSBC clients recorded with Swiss accounts, while Labour has also benefited from cash and gifts in kind worth over the sum of £500,000, as well as a loan for 2 million. Labour donors who held Swiss accounts with the HSBC include the steel magnate Swaj Paul, the restaurant owner and clothing entrepreneur Richard Caring, who at various times is recorded to have donated to both Labour and the Conservatives. Van Pelt, major Tory donor named in the HSBC files, is a great-grandson of the German automotive entrepreneur Adam Opel. He has UK homes and a British wife, but told The Guardian he is a Swiss resident. Since moving to Switzerland as a child, Van Opel has been a tax exile, managing his fortune from there. His office said none of the Van Opel's accounts were used for evading or avoiding tax. They added, Mr. Van Opel is a Swiss national and a Swiss resident since 1973. This has not stopped him from financing British politics. Since December 2012, Van Opel has donated over £430,000 to the Conservatives. He owns homes and a business in Britain and has been on the electoral register since 2010, entitling him to make party donations. EU citizens like Van Opel are entitled to vote in local but not national elections. There's a video, but like I said, I did have a situation a moment ago with my audio, so I'll give it another try.
Well, here actually I have a video here if you really want to get some really good insight about this.
Okay, we'll have to leave that one then for now. And I think that's my articles wrapped up. So, yeah, over to you, Charles, when you're ready.
Well, just to add to
comments before.
Well, see this one. If you ever, for all the viewers or listeners out there, make sure you check out.
So I can't hear you, Charles. Got some technical issues at the minute.
Okay.
Oh, we'll come back. All right, I'll let you continue while I try and sort this.
Yeah. Is it pop up now? Yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay. Well, if this guy is Gure Chastafratz, stop the criminal Swiss Nazi Templars. This guy is very informed about Switzerland and what's going on, especially if you understand how Switzerland is essentially the banking headquarters of the world. IMF, all that stuff is there. Switzerland is essentially the ones that rule the world through the economic means. Many other ways too, but primarily through economics. Here, listen, just have a listen to him real quick.
So, today, February 9th, 2015, it's getting official that the HSBC Swiss Geneva Bank has been dealing in terrorism financing, weapons sales for genocides, drugs, prostitution, organ harvesting, child pornography, you name it, worth $100 billion. And this is only one of the many Swiss banks. And don't have yourselves fooled by that name, HSBC, for Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation, because all banks are Swiss banks, in fact. When the Templars founded Octagon Switzerland and the Swiss banks on August 1st, 1291, in the last year of the Crusades. See my video, The Pharaoh Show. They just went viral afterwards, globally founding Swiss banks under local names abroad. So the motherland in the Alps can't be blamed for responsibility. And Octagon did the same with their military wing, installing that Octagon worldwide blue army to control us, the people. You all see the pyramid in their logo, do we now? From the top. Here's the top capstone. These are the sides here, you see. In the Swiss colours, of course, red and white, the colours of the Templars. Well, this is a Swiss bank. Has nothing to do with Hong Kong or Shanghai. It's all Templar stuff. This is the Templars logo here, you know. I told you, if you fold it out like in another way, you get the Templars cross. Now, if you turn these and these like around, you get the Templars cross. Just see my other video about that. So you can read the whole story. This is happening now on...
Okay, so just to give you an idea of the magnitude and how far this goes, is we're looking at all sorts of problems in the world, a lot of financial crises happening, wars, whatever. Oh. Am I still on, or it looked like...
Yeah, you're still on, Charles.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's just to give you an idea that everything leads back to Switzerland for these kinds of, you know, austerity measures, all that stuff. You look at Britain, well, not Britain, but England, where in London, where there's the square mile, where you have the city, where city financials, all the umbrella corporations are banking, everything is done through there, and then also to the Vatican, you have the religious leadership, and then Washington, D.C. as well. And so it's just, you know, this guy will give you quite a bit of insight about what's really happening with economics, who's in charge, who's been causing these problems, especially lately if you've heard about the Swiss franc going up 30% over the more value over the euro, and how much problems it's causing in Switzerland, not in Switzerland, but in the Eurozone. You know, it always leads back to the Swiss, you know. And we're talking about ISIS yesterday, about all the threats of ISIS in the Middle East. Well, Switzerland actually stands for the Sisters of ISIS. So, you know, just this is for you, the people listening out there or viewing this. You know, this is actually a guy you should listen to actually give a better perspective of what's really happening in this world. And I'm not saying that he has all the answers, but he's really able to relate everything through symbols and the names, and how the Swiss are pretty much involved in everything and a lot of the problems in our societies.
Oh, for sure, it's a rare insight indeed. Not many. I can't say I found any of the YouTube channels that touch on that sort of stuff as good and appropriate as the one that you've just you just recommended people to watch. Yeah.
His name is Sean Ross. Check him out. He's got a lot of videos. You'll see that you know, talks about the military-industrial complex, how it's Swiss-related, how, you know, their symbols relate to NATO. You were talking about NATO, about with Obama and Cameron. You know, it's all related. NATO, if you look at their symbol, it's all it's like a swastika. You move it around, it becomes octagon. The Knights Templar crosses. It's all interrelated, right? Even goes as far back to talking about how Switzerland funded Hitler as well. So, you know, it's very, very crucial, very important information that people should really look into. And if you can, download his videos, because he keeps getting attacked, and his YouTube channel sometimes gets flagged for copyright and all this nonsense there, and they take down his videos. And so, yeah, I encourage people to look into this for sure, 100%.
Good stuff. Any more articles that you've got there, Charles?
Well, there's actually reports of the bird flu here in Canada, in British Columbia, a couple of days ago or 3 days ago. They're calling it H5N1. They're saying it's not the same strand as the ones in China, which is the H5N2 strain.
I get confused. Is that many being that many? They're out loud now.
Well, H1N1. No, it's H5N.
Yeah,
H5N1. You know, it's just, you know, I was watching this video today about how the standard practice of poultry farms, and how these poor animals, they don't get any sunlight, no fresh air. They're all taken into like a closed area, It's hot. You can hear how all the chickens, they're panting because they can't breathe properly. They're not moving around. And so a lot of these birds are diseased. They got, they're unhealthy. And so, of course, when you put these birds in a bad environment like that, these kinds of diseases will flourish and come about. And people are always pushing about, oh, let's get vaccinated and all this stuff for the flu and all this stuff. But look, we got to go back to the core here of how the problems start. These viruses, I sometimes wonder if they're actually manufactured in a lab and then they just infect a few birds and then boom, we have an outbreak. Because, I mean, you look at the history of pharmaceutical companies with their vaccines. I mean, they've been caught many, many times manufacturing diseases. I mean, the whole AIDS conflict, a lot of people are talking about that, how that was manufactured, and how much money did the pharmaceutical companies make out of that? They made billions of dollars. Even purposely infecting people in Europe. I remember, I think it was Pfizer or Bayer. They had a whole bunch of Tylenol or aspirin pills, and they were infected with the AIDS virus. And so, in order to not lose any profit or lose any money from this, they shipped all of it to Europe and infected thousands of people. So, it's just these kinds of stories when you look at these problems with the H1N1 or now it's H5N1. It's all scare tactics, again, to get people on board to get vaccinated. And when you get vaccinated, of course, more problems are going to persist. You're actually infecting you with the virus. So, of course, what happens? Well, you're infected other people, and then so therefore it propagates, right? So.
And then after they tell you they've got it wrong one.
Well, exactly, right. And it's like, for me, I don't really trust the pharmaceutical companies, me personally, and I always advise and tell people and share this with them to say, look, there's so much controversy around them. Why would you trust your health, which your health is one of the most important things you can take care of in your life? Why would you put it in the hands of these corporations that always create the problems and then try to sell you the solutions after? Why? Like, it's not logical. It's not healthy. And I strongly recommend against it. So, these scare tactics of, I don't really give much attention to these things anymore. I'll talk about it, but I won't really get scared or get hyped up or get alarmed about it, because I work hard at taking care of my body and eating well, and so I feel that.
What about Ebola? Is it a similar apply?
Well, see, Ebola is another. I've watched a lot of videos on that, and it's another example of how they manufacture things. Ebola is not really that much of a risk, and also it was actually created in a lab. There's a patent for it. So again, why would anyone give it much attention except for the ones that are really in the dark about things, that give a lot of credibility to the mainstream media and their governments? Those are the only people that they're going to be able to sell it to. And the ones that are informed, that are actually using critical thinking, are taking care of their health, are not going to jump on board. And it's challenging, because when you're the one that's intelligent enough to see things for what they are, you always have to deal with the people that are trying to enforce their will on you. Is like, well, if you don't get vaccinated, then you're putting us at risk. It's like, no, I'm not putting no one at risk. You're putting other people at risk by not taking care of your health. Okay, so let's be real. Let's go to the root cause of all these problems.
You'll be rounded up and quarantined if you don't come down to the pointless vaccine.
Well, they can try, but they're gonna have a fight on their hands. You want to try to enforce your will on me. I mean, hey, at this point, it's like, if you're gonna try and enforce a vaccine on me, which I know I'm probably gonna most likely get sick from it, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna defend myself, and I have every right to. Under universal laws, I know I'm very well within my right to defend, and if I die, well, so what? I'm not.
Have you heard the Turkish opposition leader speaking about that today? I think it was today, recently anyway.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said the same. It's your universal right. So yeah, pretty interesting. I'll try and get you a link sent over later on tonight or whatever.
I'll share this with all the listeners out there. Look into universal law and natural law. If you're in America, if you're in Canada, the constitutions, the Bill of Rights is all based on natural and universal law, which is from the Six Nations Confederacy of the Six Nations here in North America, and it's all based on natural and universal law. And so learn about these things, and therefore you can actually empower yourselves and know your rights actually in the sense, in the universal sense of what life is all about. And you'll see that all these illusions that people try to push towards you, they'll just bounce off of you. If they want to use violence and coercion and all that stuff, let them. They're the ones causing themselves injury in the long run. And life, I know that it is very eternal. Your life that you have here is only part of. It's only part of it. This is only a fragment of what your life is all about. So don't be fearful. Stand in love. Stand in truth. Stand in that, and you'll see.
Thanks very much for that, Charles. Some interesting articles here. Okay, I think I'll see how Dom's doing. Have we got you on, Dom?
Yeah, hi there, Paul. You there?
Yep. Okay, when you're ready.
Yeah, first article, Islamic State will lose, says Obama. President Barack Obama has said Islamic State militants will lose as he asks Congress to formally authorize military force against them. Our coalition is on the offensive. Israel on the defensive, and Israel is going to lose. You warned against dragging the US into another prolonged ground war, called on lawmakers to show a united front. The US has carried out airstrikes against IS since last year in a coalition with other nations. It's the first time a US president has sought congressional approval to use military force since President George W. Bush in 2002, ahead of the invasion of Iraq. In a White House address, he said the draft authorization did not change the mission's core objective to degrade and destroy IS. Islamic State as a stronghold in Iraq and Syria. Flanked by the Vice President Joe Biden and the US Secretary of State and Defense at the White House, Mr. Obama said this did not signal an endless war. He said he was convinced that the United States should not get dragged back into a prolonged ground war in the Middle East, but said fighting IS would take some time. Backing from Congress would send a powerful message that the US was united in its opposition, he said. Make no mistake, this is a difficult mission, Mr. Obama said. But our coalition is on the offensive. ISIL is on the defensive, and ISIL is going to lose. Wednesday's draft proposal would repeal Mr. Bush's 2002 authorization for use of military force, but would leave in place a 2001 resolution that was improved after the 9/11 terror attacks and ordered to search for Al-Qaeda operatives. So it looks like we're going to go back into another war. I mean, this could last for years, couldn't it? They've got control of Iraq, and there's most of parts of Iraq and eastern Syria, if I'm right. I think it's only Aleppo. That's not. They've got control of. But I mean, this is going to be a 10-year war at least. It's going to keep coming out. So yeah, that's that one. You got any comments on that, Paul?
Well, I don't think.
I mean, the barricade is Islamic State.
Yeah, but come on, against Obama and what he's got, what power he's got, nobody ever doubted that. That'd be the case. We're all aware if Obama decided to do something, he'd probably get job done. But that's not the main issue. The issue is all these innocent people that are being bombed in process.
Yeah. The thing is, when civilians are killed in drone attacks, they're not actually counted as job has been killed.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to be able to, are they?
Yeah. No, they're not counted, and they're just classed as militants until proven innocent.
Mm-hmm.
They're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, well, I can see him chatting away, but I can't hear him, which is a good thing.
Right, moving on. Costa Concordia Captain Schettino guilty of manslaughter. The captain of the Italian cruise ship Costa Concordia has been found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Captain Francesco Schettino was at the helm when the ship hit rocks and sank in 2012, killing 32 people. He was accused of taking the line too close to the shore and then abandoning ship with the passengers and crew still on board. Schettino denied the charges and said he was being made a scapegoat. His lawyers argued that it was a collective failure of the ship's crew and others should share the blame for the disaster. Schettino was not present when Judge Giovanni Pulata read out the verdict at the court in the city of Grosseto. The 54-year-old is expected to appeal against the verdict. So this is a vessel here when it sunk. It's in the rocks of Tuscan Island. The last body was just taken out of that vessel, weren't it? Not a couple of weeks back, weren't it?
What was that, Dominic? Say that again.
Yeah. The last body was taken out of the Concordia, weren't it? Well, about 3 weeks ago. Was there a porter?
The last time I reported on it were around 3 weeks ago. Yeah, they were still finding. They're still finding bodies.
Yeah, the last one was a porter. Well, actually stayed behind, and apparently he helped a lot of crew, a lot of people and that.
Yeah.
So,
but whether he is being used as a scapegoat, at the end of the day, he abandoned ship, which is something as a moral purity.
You cannot abandon ship. You have to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
Or the last man on the ship.
We've all seen Titanic.
No, Titanic, if you look at the history of that, that was purposely sunk because they built the ship, it would cost a lot of money, and they weren't going to be able to make the money back or how much it cost, and so it was all a big insurance scam. Look into that.
With the switching of the sister ship, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It's quite the story, and what doesn't surprise me, it's these people, these bankers and these big entrepreneurs that take on these projects thinking that they're gonna make millions of dollars, and then they find out and then they just go put on a show, and it's easy to just fake a sinking. Well, especially back then, I mean, people weren't as informed as we are today. It's like, ever see the movie Deep Rising? It's like a horror movie there about this octopus there that comes up and then pretty much terrorizes the ship.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that built the ship, he talks about how he hired these mercenaries to come and sink the ship, and they blame it on the terrorist attack, and then they get the money and insurance, and they put it in movies right in blatant sight, and people just eat it up like entertainment, but not realize that they're sharing some truth of reality with them. And we just go on thinking it's entertainment and it's all fun, it's just a movie. People wouldn't do that.
And if it's not that, it's a conspiracy theory.
Exactly, right? And when people use the conspiracy theory card, it's like, listen, conspiracy theorists have been proven to be very highly intelligent people. They're the ones using critical thinking. They're the ones investigating and not just taking people's words for it. They actually work at seeking the truth as compared to people just reading newspaper and say, oh, well, that's what it is, and that's it. Oh, okay, there you go, and just keep walking along, and then, it's not even it's not even an insult when someone calls me a conspiracy theorist or a truther. It's like, oh, thank you, like, thank you very much.
Compliment. What's that next one then, Dom? England's, what was that, England?
England banned smoking in cars with children. This is years late. Should have come out years ago. Drivers in England will be banned from smoking in their cars if they are carrying children as passengers. The move, which will become law on the 1st of October, follows a similar ban in Wales and aims to protect young people under 18 from second-hand smoke. Scotland is also considering introducing a ban. Anyone found flouting the law in England could be fined £50. The British Lung Foundation welcomed the ban as a victory, but smokers group Forest said it was unenforceable. It will not apply to anyone driving a load or driving a convertible car with the top down. The regulations were passed in the Commons after 342 MPs voted in favour of legislation, while just 74 vetoed against. More than 430 1,000 children are exposed to second-hand smoke in cars each week, according to the British Lung Foundation. Passive smoke in children can increase the risk of asthma, meningitis, and clot death, says public health experts. While many support the ban, some see it as an unnecessary intrusion. Public Health Minister Jane Ellison said, 3 million children are exposed to second-hand smoke in cars, putting their health at risk. We know that many of them feel embarrassed or frightened to ask adults to stop smoking, which is why the regulations are an important step in protecting children from the harms of second-hand smoke. So yeah, so that's a good thing then. I've seen a few cars go past with kids in and parents are smoking at wheel.
It's just another incident of government taking the power and doing the parenting for most people. He says, what was that about with an open top convertible? So does that mean you can smoke with children in the car?
Yeah, you can with that. Yeah, but I mean, it won't be long before they ban smoking and driving. Do you know that'll coming soon? Where you can't smoke at wheel. You need two hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
Blacks, yeah. If you can't use a mobile phone, then it's stupid, really. If you can't use a mobile phone, but you can smoke still.
They'll be doing it for vaping.
If you drop your cigarette down your chair, down your trousers, and you try to put it out and you're driving, you're not gonna be able to put it out, yeah.
No.
My idea of how I think about smoking should be banned. Like, it's bad for the health. It's not good. Should not be encouraging people to smoke more. I'm not trying to say that, hey, look, regulate it to the max, but I mean, people are worried about terrorists, but cigarette smoke, is known to kill how many hundreds of thousands of people a year. It's just not safe. It's just not a good idea. And it's another example of how a lot of us are just irresponsible with our health. And I mean, I'm not saying that the government should come in and start telling people, well, don't smoke, whatever. But if you're going to tell people that you can't smoke marijuana or cannabis, but then say it's okay to smoke cigarettes, listen.
I saw an article today, something to do with liver disease, and they were saying that most cases of liver disease is not to do with in connection with alcoholics.
Oh no?
I don't have the article at hand, but I did see that briefly today. Yeah, the same majority of cases with liver disease are people who don't drink.
I have to believe that one. It's all these reports being put out there about, just to kind of counter independent science research. And so, when you look at these companies that fund researchers say, okay, well, look, we're going to give you this much money to do the research on our whatever product, and this is the results we're looking for. So we'll try to work towards making it look like it's on this side. It's biased. It's not really a scientific research to prove it's safe or not. It's just to try to say, okay, well, we did the research, we spent all this money, and so, well, just make sure that it goes on board with our agenda, and you'll get paid a little extra, and so, you can't really trust anything these days. Everyone's out to make a profit. Tobacco companies were caught doing that back in, in the 80s or something like that. Even before that, even doctors were prescribing people to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
And now we know, well, it's not good for you. Well, of course.
We've got under 8 months to get us 50 quid ready. Is it 1st of October that then, yeah?
1st of October, yeah. 1st of October 2015. It will be illegal to smoke in cars when you've got children in the back.
Yeah. It's child abuse when you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean...
Yeah, but what they're doing is profiting from people doing child abuse.
Well, that's it, right?
Well, is it not? That's my view. That's my opinion.
Right, Liverpool ticket scam. 2 charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. This is only a small article. 2 men from Enfield have been charged over an alleged ticket forging operation for Liverpool Football Club matches. Police launched an investigation after fans from all over the world never received tickets bought online, while others received fake ones. Craig O'Donoghue, 29, of Dewsbury Road, and Paul Murgatroyd, 27, of Breck Road, are charged with conspiracy to commit fraud by false representation. Both men are due at Liverpool City Magistrates Court on Thursday. So yeah, that's them two who's been selling fake tickets and tickets that don't turn up, and bracketed some. We just see what happens to them. Yeah, so yeah. Right, and finally, it's Tony Pulis, pranked by Limavady United footballer Blaine Morrison. West Bromwich Albion manager Tony Pulis was the target of the prank call. He may be known as one of the williest football managers in the Premier League, but West Bromwich Albion manager Tony Pulis had been outwitted by a player from Northern Ireland's third division. Limavady United midfielder Blaine Morrison hoodwinked Pulis with an impersonation of fellow countryman and Bolton Wanderers boss Neil Lennon during a prank call. When the Welshman returned his phone message, he coaxed him into believing Lennon was making a loan bid for Northern Ireland international defender Gareth McAuley. This is here we are on the phone. West Brom has confirmed that Pulis was taken in by a phone call. During the call, Pulis was not in the mood for letting the alarm man leave the phones, however, describing him as a top lad. Happy to continue the conversation, he hinted he would have a think about other options. Now Morrison hopes the Badgers chief has taken his prank call, which was recorded and is probably popular on social media, in the right spirit. I was with the team on Saturday night outside our social club, and someone came up with a number for Tony Pulis. I rang him, and I couldn't believe it when he called back. I decided to pretend to be Neil Lennon because of the Northern Ireland accent, and I asked about bringing Gareth McAuley on loan because he's a Northern Ireland player. I thought the call would last a few seconds and didn't expect it to last any longer. He sees the funny side and takes it in the right spirit. Morrison, 27, says that despite being able to engage the top flight manager in conversation, he does not envisage being offered a career in full-time football. I don't think he's that desperate just yet, he joked. A Tottenham Hotspur fan, he's still smarter from their defeat to Liverpool Tuesday night, prompting suggestions of another potential victim. I would like to do Brendan Rodgers, but with the accent and him coming from Northern Ireland, it might be too hard, he added. That's a funny little article to round it off. Bolton Wanderers boss Neil Lennon, who we pretended to be.
Yeah, cheers for that, Dom. A lot from BBC. Think I'll need an aspirin after that.
You have to mention it.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks a lot for your articles, dear. For those that have tuned in to listen, do join us again tomorrow, where I'm not too sure who will be here, but somebody will be as usual. So until then, take care and look after yourselves.